Hello everyone, and welcome back to the final part of my review on the ITV's best historical drama, Victoria, this year. And so, I really want to say that all of the parts that I've done for this review on Victoria has been really brilliant, and I've taken so much time to explain all my honest opinions on what I thought about Victoria, the relationships, the plot lines, and everything in total. I think that this part really sums up of how brilliant and how successful Victoria was this year. And so I'm going to tell you about what I think about the whole show in total, the positives and negatives, how it can be improved, and most of the special features that I include on the DVD as well, and why you should definitely pick it up for yourself to watch the whole history of Victoria and how Queen Victoria at such a young age become such a big role model to all women and to everyone in the as she's now the Queen of England. And so definitely I think we have to give a big round of applause to Daisy Goodwin for creating this ultimate show, because she really does like Victoria and Queen Victoria as a role model, and she really admired her honesty in her lifetime of being an ultimate but great queen. And so she really, went through all of her, Queen Victoria's diary entries and her sketchbooks, and really found, Victoria's whole lifetime of being queen. So they really made a recreation of Queen Victoria's lifetime. And so she did a brilliant job of writing the whole scripts, the whole, scenario of, Victoria, and, how the plot lines go connect to each episode, and how she produced the whole episode in total, episodes and the whole show. And she really brought out what an ultimate show that this turned out to be. I thought that this story was going to be so brilliant, but it turned out even more brilliant than I even expected it would be. She really did a brilliant job, and especially Jenna Coleman with her brilliant performance as Queen Victoria. She was absolutely phenomenal. A brilliant actress for a brilliant queen. Definitely. I wish that Victoria could continue forever and ever. And the good thing is that there'll be a second series for Victoria next year, but also with a Christmas special as well. I don't know how long Victoria is going to be, but I wish it could be about 4 series long. You never know, until the point where Victoria dies. I'm not sure, but I hope that we get to see more of her lifetime in the next series, which I have something to look forward to. And I really don't think that there should be any more improvements to the show, because I think the show just really explains the whole lifetime and the whole story behind Victoria's Queen Victoria's background and her lifetime, and how she took on such a big responsibility of being the Queen of England, and how she coped with all of the big decisions that she had to make with Lord Melbourne at her side, and also having a lustrous life with the love of her life, Prince Albert as well. And so we really do see the kind of big relationships, as I told in part 1 of my review, all the brilliant relationships that happened within the show, Lord Melbourne and Queen Victoria within the political side. And then we have the whole side where Albert and Victoria love each other so much, and then they're in situations that Albert's more capable of coping with Victoria, and so they really do become the best husband and wife that I would ever seen as entirely. And I think Tom Hughes and Victoria do work so well together. They may have had differences in arguments between episode 4, I think it was, but then in the middle of episode 4, where they kind of danced together, they really felt the same feelings for each other, and that's where the big kind of this marriage together, they started to become the best husband and wife that I've ever seen in history, because they really do explain and tell the story of how Victoria wanted to become an individual woman and not to marry any person, because she wanted to control herself a bit more often. But with Lord Melbourne at her side, she's more capable of caping for herself. My goodness, there's loads of fireworks going on. in the background, and I can't think really. So I apologise for that. It's just, I cannot control people setting off fireworks in the middle of a review like that. But you know how November is, people setting off fireworks, it's going crazy. And even so, the 5th of November was absolutely berserkers with loads of fireworks, and it's still continuing right now. So yeah, definitely. Anyway, back to the story. Let's tell you about the special features that I quite liked on this DVD as well. We also have the cast interviews, which, like, all of the cast people who featured in the show quite often, such as Mrs. Skerritt, Brody, the Duke of Cumberland, Mrs. Jenkins, who's the German, the guy who talks to Mr. Jenkins a lot, who almost hangs around where, yeah, Francatelli, I don't know his name, the guy who I've seen before, I don't know his name is, but he's almost like German, and he talks, and he's almost like, kind of a servant to Victoria, but also into the whole downstairs area where they have little discussions about Lord Melbourne wanted to marry Victoria, but remember Lord Melbourne was already married, and so they always have like their little kind of secret little gossip down there, and in the kitchens where all the people are doing their jobs really, and so they really do kind of share their kind of bits within the whole show and how their characters develop within the show. Yeah, and so I quite like the casting interviewers explaining about how their role of playing this character has changed their lives, and how big of a great honour to play obviously Queen Victoria, as Jenna Coleman loved Queen Victoria in many days, because Jenna Coleman was actually quite fascinated of Queen Victoria's life, if you didn't know that, because she really thought that she was almost like her biggest role model of all time, and so she really does make the proper queen to play for Victoria in the show. And if Jenna Coleman didn't play Queen Victoria in the next series, then I just would have just completely just not watched the whole show, because I absolutely adore Jenna Coleman's performance. And if she doesn't, continue, I mean, she will do in the next series, but if she doesn't continue until then, I don't know what would happen. I just think I just could have just fallen to pieces, really. But she does really show her more brilliant side of becoming queen, taking loads of responsibilities, handling with different situations, and so she really becomes a brilliant role model for many people of England in those times. And also for other people in real life right now in modern society. Queen Victoria really set out as a really brilliant role model to follow, and so that's what Jenna Coleman kind of had her eyes on, and she wanted to play the role, and she really brought out almost like the brilliance and how the big responsibility and her duty of queen really took, and how she was capable of being queen at that time. Because at 18 in Victoria, at the age of 18 Victoria became queen, and throughout that time she's had many confrontations between people of with royal positions and titles. But then we have Albert, which we see almost like the same age as Victoria, but we really do see that they kind of have a lustrous relationship at the start, and then suddenly it gets a bit out of hand with all the arguments and people trying to assassinate her. So we really do see many different sides of Victoria within the show. We see her more political side with Lord Melbourne, her more lustrous and loving side with Albert. But then there's also some other sides that we don't see of Victoria. We see her more angry side, because as in episode 8 where we see the kind of assassination, almost the assassination of Queen Victoria, but in that episode we also see that Victoria gets quite angry because she wants this person who tried to kill her, she wanted to find this person and almost punish her for committing treason against her. But I think the current Prime Minister at that time, he was like saying that we can't really put him in prison and punish him for something that he was like not paid to do or something like that. I think it was the Duke of Cumberland who was trying to set up the Queen of giving up the throne, and so he will be able to take over and become the King of England almost. But Victoria didn't give up that easily. she held on and she became such a brilliant queen, and continue, and she will continue as becoming a brilliant queen. And she never gave up position until at the moment she died. But we really do see her, more angry sides in different situations where Sir John kind of, shouts at her, but then Victoria kind of fights back because of her, kind of feisty, she's quite feisty towards Sir John because, you may realise that I'm still young but quite arrogant. I still have the duty and I have the responsibility, and if I want advice I will ask for it. And she really tells, Sir John, like, back off, this is my duty, my responsibility, and so if you want to interfere, then you may, give advice, but I may not use your advice to my advantage. If I would ask for advice, I will, but if not, you just stay out of my business. So that's, how Victoria would cope, really. And that's what I really saw in the show. And so we definitely see Victoria taking to talks with Sir John and also other people in charge who are, who may be higher, but she's almost the higher figure person in, at that time, because she is the queen. Nobody's much higher than the queen. The queen is the queen, and she is the most authoritative figure of the whole of England, and nobody can judge her. Nobody can even, insult her, because that would just make everything completely difficult for herself, but also makes other people difficult to, to cope with her, because she's probably not acting as a, brilliant leader as many queens would or many kings would. And so yeah, she's really taking, things a bit different, because she's, she took her, the role over her father as he died, and she, as the queen's and as the king's daughter, she really feels that that she's taken the massive big responsibility that her father took. And so people almost feel, a bit, alienated, because they just really think that Queen Victoria, although she's a woman, she just really doesn't really have the authoritative, power that the king had when he was king. And so they really just really underestimate her as being queen. So I quite have to disagree with that, because most of the time I quite, admire Queen Victoria. Even so, before I watched the whole show, I didn't even know, Queen Victoria's whole life story. I didn't have no idea. But from watching this, I have more history, and I really admire Queen Victoria's bravery, but her, ultimate and honest responsibility, and how she's so polite to all of her servants. And so she really brings out, the kind of honesty and politeness towards her friends, and also to people who, love her, such as Albert and Lord Melbourne. They really become, a big part of a big friendly relationships, and all of these relationships kind of grow stronger and stronger and stronger within the show. And we really do see, everybody taking to toll with Victoria making the right decisions of marrying Albert, becoming queen in the first place. So we definitely see loads of situations, is she capable of, taking such a big, massive duty of becoming and serving as the Queen of England. So yeah, we definitely, we have, that kind of discussion with, everybody's, having, a debate about whether she's, capable of being queen. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just, getting that point out there to you, just making sure that you completely understand what I'm saying. And so we also have, on the special features, we have the history between Victoria and Albert, Victoria and Lord Melbourne, and how their, kind of big relationships within the show kind of, brought bigger bonds, and, they became the best of friends, and within Albert and Victoria's big relationship, they became the best husband and wife that I've ever seen. And so, I think it's, also we have the creating the CGI magic. I've done no idea what that is. I think I watched it, but then I completely forgot. Sorry for my loss of memory. We have the making of Victoria, the tour of Buckingham Palace. And now that was quite fascinating, where Brodie and Mrs. Garrett, I don't know who played them both, but basically they were explaining about how the whole set was literally filmed in a plain warehouse, where the whole of the, the sets for the whole show, the whole setting was based around inside the the Buckingham Palace. It was all based in a abandoned aeroplane warehouse, which I thought what? How did they do all that and manage just to do all of that scenery in an abandoned warehouse? How did they do that? And I was literally so surprised of where they actually revealed that we filmed everything in this place. Like, what? Oh my gosh, like they really took everything to the next level, and it really shocked me, really. And so yeah, we definitely, I have to say that I just adore this show so much because I'm so into it, and I really do feel that Victoria is almost my ultimate historical drama. I mean, I do like Doctor Who because Jenna Coleman does feature in this, and also loads of Doctor Who people, actually loads of actors who've been in Doctor Who, they actually, come back in into this show. We have Broder, who's played by Tommy Knight, who actually featured in the Sarah Jane Adventures, and we also have Eva Miles, who also played, I'm not sure who played, but she was featured in Torchwood with Captain Jack Harkness, and she also appeared in Victoria as Mrs. Jenkins. And so we definitely see quite a load of people who played in Doctor Who appear in this show. So we definitely do see quite a few actors and actresses who played, who've played in Doctor Who, and also other Doctor Who spin-offs, who actually, appeared in the show yet again. So I think Doctor Who and Victoria have a big, bigger bond because loads of actors, as yes I said again, feature in the show. And so I definitely have to, give congrats to Jenna Coleman doing a brilliant performance of being Queen Victoria. She was absolutely phenomenal, so fantastic with, doing her own stunts as well, and, taking on so many, acts, and taking on such a big responsibility of being Queen. And so they really brought out how Queen Victoria coped within back in those times, and how she was, underestimated quite a lot. But then in the end, people really saw her as a big of a role model than she is right now. Because even so in modern society, they really do think that Queen Victoria showed that women also do have power, and women should never be underestimated, because Victoria does prove that she can become a big role model to all women, and she really did back in those times. And I really do admire her honesty and her responsibility that she took. And so I may be repeating myself, but I'm just trying to get the point over to you as well. But anyway guys, I hope you have enjoyed this final part of reviewing Victoria. Now if you are definitely recommending of buying Victoria, then I should definitely say that you should highly recommend to pick this up. If you are big fans of Victoria as a role model, and you quite admire her, then please do pick it up, because you will definitely experience out of how such a young girl at the age of 18 took on such a big, massive responsibility of making all these political decisions, falling in love with, getting pregnant, having a child, and becoming and serving as the Queen of England. That takes immense courage, and so Queen Victoria definitely did her job, and she did it justice. She's an absolute role model, and the whole show dedicates her life and her whole lifetime of being Queen. I definitely really do love this show to absolute bits, and I really do guys. I hope you have enjoyed this review, and if you have enjoyed the whole review, then please do look forward to series 2 of Victoria, which I cannot wait for. But please do buy this, and you will definitely experience Queen Victoria at such a young age becoming the Queen of England. I mean, if I was like at the age of 18 and I became the King of England, that would just literally, I would just be over the moon. I would just be absolute gobsmacked if I was like the King of England almost. But that would never happen. That would definitely not happen, because I'm not a member of the royal family of not. So thank you for watching guys. I hope you have enjoyed this full-length review on Victoria. I know it's been quite long, but next time we're going to be probably focusing on more Doctor Who stuff. And so guys, thank you for watching for the whole parts of my Victoria review, and I will see you guys very soon. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.